Hey everybody. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this video is way overdue.
Yeah, bye.
So please bear with me as I discuss projects that are almost a year old. I'm gonna structure this video out of order in terms of when certain files released, but I grouped things based on complexity of the file while I learned how to model. Without further ado, I give the second entry in my VTuber 3D print series.
Bye-bye.
Starting strong, I wanted to group the two hair clip models. Both of these were made for the then new model releases of Gargura and Henya the Genius, the latter of which just had an even newer model release. These models were made to test two specific aspects of my modeling. I wanted to improve my skills in terms of speed and organic shaping. When watching Gura's new model debut, I made the model while watching, taking a screenshot from the YouTube livestream directly and using it as reference. The Henya hair clip I made before her debut stream even happened, based only on the preview image Henya posted on Twitter. The coolest part about the Henya hair clip being how the initial YouTube video and TikTok short released on the same day as the stream, so I felt like I was right on time rather than riding the wave afterwards. Starting with Gura, her hair clip seemed to be an offshoot of her classic hair tie, which I made in a previous video. This gave me a good starting spot in terms of sizing. In my experience, sizing of a model is the hardest part. In modeling software, something can look to be the perfect size, but once made, it can be widely off. This model right here is way too small.
Ooh, yikes. That's pretty tiny.
So I had to go back to the drawing board and resize this. To rough out the shape, I made the footprint of the bunny face using those dimensions I previously mentioned. Finer details I roughed in with placeholder measurements and later adjusted them by sight to get the final desired look. Going off of pictures of Gura's model, it was clear that the look was more similar to a clip than a tie, like in previous, so I added an accent to the side to simulate the look of a hair clip. This also allowed me to hide a real metal clip underneath. Once printed, I made two versions in different colors, as I wasn't exactly sure which would look best after printing. I used Inland Slate Gray Marble and Cookie Cad Lavender Chip for these, and they both printed amazing. I love the little flakes that give that marble effect on both of them. To get the final colors, I painted these with some acrylic paint, which you can see in the video. After drying, I hot glued
I smell like glue.
the metal hair clip previously mentioned into place, and it was finished. Moving on to the Henya clip, since I had done a lot of measurement work with the previous hair clip, making the Henya hair clip was a breeze. This model used the same method previously described, but instead of a bunny shark, I was making a cat. I roughed in the cat mouth, eyes, and ears, and later adjusted the size as needed. This model differs slightly from the Gura one though, as I knew from the start I could pull off the colors I wanted without having to use paint. The method I used instead of painting was a filament swap. This works by stopping the printer at a desired layer height and changing the filament to a different color. This allows for a traditional printer to make a multicolor model without using something more complicated like a bamboo AMS. I've used this technique in a ton of videos on the channel, and I even made a short showing how to do this on your own printer, so be sure to check that out if you'd like to do that. For the Henya hair clip, I used Inland Purple PLA Plus and Inland White PLA. I really like this purple in particular since it has a really rich hue, so I was super eager to use it for this project. Same as the Gura one, I used a metal hair clip and hot glued them onto the back to make them actually usable for a cosplay piece. Overall, I'm very happy with how these models turned out. The biggest point of improvement I would want to make going forward is the way that I glued the hair clips. Since I just used hot glue, they aren't very stable and are prone to breaking off. A better solution would be possibly super glue with a little bit of sanding. Since I don't actually plan to wear these as real cosplay, the hot glue is definitely sufficient, but for those of you that might be making this for an actual cosplay piece, you might want to use something a little bit stronger than hot glue so that it lasts through the whole day of con or wherever you plan to use the cosplay.
Houston, we are having an epic battle right now. Houston, are you there?
This project was the most out there, get it, of the projects in this video. I really wanted to make something for Ame's space model, but couldn't find very much on the model itself. I could have made a space helmet, but that was way out of the scope of this video and what I've made in the past. Just when I thought about giving up on making something, I was in a call with Kirby and I pitched making the rocket to him. With his encouragement, I got to work. I won't go into huge detail in this video on the modeling process because I actually streamed the entirety of making this file live on my YouTube page. I would recommend checking out the VOD, as not only does it go in way more in depth, but it also shows my process for making models. Like the previous models, I made this one with one goal in mind. I wanted something that worked on my electronic skills. In the previous VTuber models video, I made the Henya cube light up, but it didn't really require any complex circuitry since the inside was just a hollow cube. My initial idea was to have both yellow and orange lights where the cockpit would light up and there would be a fire plume out of the bottom of the rocket. Eventually I had to scrap the fire for time, but the cockpit light stuck. The way I achieved this was by routing wires down through the body of the rocket to the ignition cone where I hid the switch and battery to power it. For material I used inland yellow PLA+, printed solid Jessie PS red, and 3D Solutech natural clear. I decided to print the main body in yellow as opposed to silver, as it would be much easier to paint the body silver than paint the small intricate details yellow. Additionally, it would have been impossible to match the yellow plastic and the yellow paints, so there would have always be a color mismatch between the body and antenna, which I did not want. Overall, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I was pressed for time a bit and had to scale back my scope while working, which did bum me out quite a bit. I always like to emphasize printability of my models, so I carefully worked to make sure that this entire model could be realistically made with no support material. I think this is the fact that makes me the most proud of this model and the next model that I'm about to show off. Speaking of which... Out of all of the designs in this video, I am the most proud of this one. When I saw the teasers and videos regarding the, at the time, newest generation of Hollow EN talents, the Fuomoko twins caught my eye right away. Originally, I had plans to make add-ons to a pair of generic white tennis shoes to make it look like the Fuomoko twins shoes. But after some initial modeling and thought, their chokers were much more fitting for a 3D printed model. The jewel was the hardest part to make and gave me the most trouble, as it was difficult to make all the angles blend seamlessly with each other, and so that's what I want to focus on when I discuss modeling. What I ended up doing was making two pyramids opposite each other. To get the depth effect, I made a simple square offset 45 degrees from the side planes of each face to give me a point to loft to. This might sound complicated, but I hope the footage in the background helps showcase what I did. Once the shape was roughed out, I added various degrees of fillet to each edge to make the transition not as harsh. I left the main lengths of the jewel with no fillet for aesthetical and feasibility reasons. Again, this was so that it printed better. The chain was another part that is simple to model and challenging to print. I made the chain all as one file, but the amount of space can allow for a theoretically infinite length of chain. The way this was achieved was through making a diamond shape with an offset, extruding that to give depth, and chamfering the sides. Technically, a chain is meant to be curved, but I left it flat so that it could be printed on its side much easier. Since this was the most complicated model of the series, it also had the most trial and error. With the hair clips and rocket, all parts printed with no iteration needed, but the choker required a few revisions. To explain this better, Past Ace is going to describe this while showing the physical pieces of each iteration. Take it away. The first thing I did was I tried to print the chain, and I did this one without supports but with the brim, and you can see here there is a layer shift that's really bad right where it starts to bridge. I'm pretty sure that this bridge right here is enough. It shouldn't need supports, but I couldn't get it to work in any of mine. So now moving on to the jewel part. This one, the only reason I printed it in white here is because I wanted to try it out to make sure that the design was right. I used white because white's a pretty cheap material compared to my pink and my blue here. But anyway, so the first one I printed was actually this one that succeeded. It used these supports here, this tree supports, and it popped out really nice. And the supports actually acted as a brim for the jewel here, so it helped this stay on the base. So this one actually, like the first time I did it, it worked. But so you can see that really bad layer shift right there. So that was, I believe, because of the tree supports. Sometimes when I have tree supports around an entire model like this, I'll get really weird layer shifts like in the middle. But this one was printed without supports, just a brim on the bottom. And you can see that it has that that layer shift at that same point, but it's not as pronounced. The main thing behind this, reason I call it a success, is it proved that I could print this piece without supports. This was kind of like my process for developing the main crystal. These are I think I called this the crystal connector or jewel connector. I'll put the correct name for that on screen right now. But you can actually, in Cura and a lot of other slicers, you can stop the print at a certain place. I didn't do that for this print in particular because the gap is just large enough where you can fit you can fit the chain through without having to stop the print. I didn't actually end up stopping any of these. At the time of me gluing all these on, it took me about 2 weeks from inception to final design. So to finally get to see it is something special. I would say that is, oh my gosh, that looks so cool. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, that's so cool. Oh. Honestly, I've really liked the VTuber models that I've been making recently because they've been pushing me to get better at 3D modeling. And I think they've also been pushing my creativity. Like this project, I worked on R&D, and then this was kind of the culmination of all of that together. Seeing how stuff fit together in 3D space, working with stuff that you had to drop in, and a multi-part system. And so I'm hoping that bleeds over into some of the other projects that I've been working on. We'll see, you know? Well, I hope you enjoyed learning how I made each of these models. I had a blast making these, and I feel like I was able to support both fans and talents with these projects. If you plan to or have already printed one of these, please leave a comment or show me your own make. I apologize for this video taking so long, but I had a lot of unexpected things happen in my personal life that kept pushing this video back. I'm a little bit more on my feet now, and that's why this video is coming out. Recently, I've become more comfortable making long-form content and hope to make more in the future. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye! Hey all, Editing Ace here. This section of the video is going to be a bit emotional and scattered, but I need to address the elephant in the room. This video finished filming and near finished editing in August. I had planned to release it around RepRap to tease stuff I had planned to show off at the event. These plans got tossed out when the announcement of Amelia Watson's retirement came out. I have been a huge fan of Ame since her debut in 2020, and she has appeared in both VTuber model videos that I've made on the channel. So suffice to say, her streams have meant a lot to me. I plan to compile a more heartfelt message in my next video when I showcase my final Ame model. Those of you that watch my streams have already seen this. For the time being, and the sake of this video, I'll be brief but heartfelt.
It's actually kind of weird, like, I don't know, I guess I've been kind of used to stuff that just, like, in life just kind of goes downhill, and so it's weird that things are going well. I get nervous. I'm just like, yeah, one of these days, I don't know, something bad is gonna happen. But I guess eventually, hopefully, it's something I can get over. But, you know, it's been going really well because of you guys, so thank you. I don't know, I say thank you a lot, but yeah, I don't know.
This clip is what sold me on Ame and VTubing as a whole. I've felt the way that Ame has felt in this clip more often than I want to admit. Knowing I wasn't alone in this feeling inspired me to move and grow towards embracing things that bring me happiness, and the biggest part of that was streaming and making content on this channel again. Ame, if somehow you're listening, thank you so much. I honestly can't thank you enough. Best of luck wherever you go next, and I know we'll all be supporting you. Thank you.